Welcome to Blender Frenzy. I am Justin, and this is the first video of the quarantine series. This is an intermediate series, so I'm not going to go over a lot of beginner stuff. If you are new to Blender and don't really know anything about the user interface, go check out my crash course that I did for this series on the Blender user interface. But other than that, I'm going to assume that you are already a little bit familiar with Blender and the navigation and selection and all of that stuff. Okay, so of course I'm going to delete the default cube by pressing X and then delete. And then I'm going to Shift A to add in a cylinder. Boom! And there is our toilet paper roll. But actually, we have too many vertices here. So if I come down here to add cylinder, you can see, and if you don't see this here, by the way, you can come up to view and then adjust last operation, make sure that's checked. And then when you add in your cylinder, you'll see this little thing down here. You can open it up. I'm going to change from 32 to 26. And I'm not going to change the radius and the depth here because it doesn't actually work as well as I want it to. But I am going to change the cap fill to nothing. So then we just have this little ring, you can see. So the next thing I'm going to do, you can see this is 1 meter and 2 meters for the radius. I'm going to actually change my units. So I'm going to come here to Scene, Properties, and then Units, and I'm going to change it from the metric to imperial just because that's the system that we use here in the States. I know that we're probably, I think, the only ones who use that, and I know it's dumb. You don't have to tell me, but it's what I'm familiar with, so I'm going to go with that. You can keep this to whatever you want. The length here is feet and the scale is 1. So that means that this 1 represents 1 foot. And then I'm going to click separate units here. And then now you can see over here the radius is 3 feet and 3.4 inches, which is a really big roll of toilet paper, and I don't want it to be that way. The depth is 6 foot. But again, I'm not going to change them here. We'll collapse this here. I'm going to press in on the keyboard to open up our transform, and under our item tab and transform, I'm going to come down here. You can see here is our scale here. I know that it's 4 inches tall, so I'm going to type 4 and then IN for inches, enter, and that's going to be how tall it is, and it's not 6 feet, it's actually just 6 inches. So I'm going to select both of these by clicking and dragging down to select both of them. And now if I start typing 6 IN for 6 inches, enter, and now I have both of these 6 inches, so our toilet paper roll is now 6 inches in diameter and 4 inches tall, which is what I want. But you can see here now our scale is different, but I want this all to be 1. So with our object selected, I'm going to press Control A to apply, and then I'm going to say scale. And now you can see at a scale of 1, 1, 1, our dimensions are 6 by 6 by 4. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is tab into edit mode, and then I'm going to press 3 to go into the side view, looking down along the x-axis. I'm going to scroll in here a little bit. And then up here, I'm going to enable snapping mode and then select increment and absolute grid snap. Press G, and I'm going to just drag that up to where it's right along that green y-axis. And then I'm going to tab out into object mode again, and then now it's on the ground floor. And now the origin is still at the center origin of the 3D view, and it's at the bottom of my mesh, which is where I want it for now. Tab back into edit mode. I'm going to go into edge select mode. And by the way, if you don't have emulate numpad on as an option for your top number row keys, you can do 1 is a vertex select, 2 is edge select, and 3 is face select. So I'm going to press 2 to go into edge select mode, and then I'm going to Alt select this edge loop at the top, and then Shift Alt and select the edge loop at the bottom here, and then press E to extrude, and you can see it's still snapping, so I'm going to right click to cancel that. It's still there, so if I press G, you can see it's still there. I'm going to right click and then turn off snapping. And now if I press G, you can see it is moving a little bit more freely. I'm going to right click that again, and then we're just going to scale this in. If we scale that in, you can see, oh, it kind of scales it in towards the bottom there. It's scaling it towards each other because we have the pivot point as the median point. And so if I go into X-ray, you can see it's like a little cone. So if I undo that, if I scale that in it's scaling into each other. If I scale it out, it's scaling it out like a funnel. It's scaling that on all of the axes. So it's X, Y, and Z. So it's going up and down. And I don't want it to go up and down. So I'm just going to press Shift Z to exclude the Z axis. So it's only on the X and the Y axis that's being scaled. And then we're going to go inwards. So just like that, to where I think maybe that would be the inside of the toilet paper roll. Okay, I think that's good size right there. So I'm going to right click and then bridge edge loops with those two still selected, and then it will bridge those edge loops as long as they have the same amount of vertices or edges or faces, and they do. So now we have something like this. Let's turn off X-ray, and we have our little toilet paper roll shape. I'm going to go out into tab out into object mode, and we can see, ta-da! This is our very, very simple shape. Now we are going to mold it a little bit more organically later, but for now, I want it to be just like this so we can start unwrapping. And that will be in the next video.